Good morning, good day to you, as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this of Knowledge Seekers programs from Keshe Foundation Special Institute, we are back in the track of time and how time affects us. In the world of creation, time does not exist. In a way, until a field position, and at the same time, the dimension of energy side collectively work together. And that's when it's done. As we say in the world of the man, the dead body hasn't got a time because his time on this planet is finished. Because the physical side has stopped working. But the energy side, which is the soul of the man, still in the functionality of his work within the structure of the man. Soul is still within, has not left. And when the soul leaves and the physicality is in its 3 dimension, it still exists. So time, life, exists when both the physical side and the energy side interact, coexist. Even for a stone is the same as is for the man. A stone has a life because it's dynamic. If you listen to the intro just now, where we say we are just positioned in a solid state of the what we call brain of the universe, like the brain of the man, we say our bodies, our brain is made of different cells, and each cell has millions of atoms. And each atom has so many electrons, protons, neutrons, and then we say, when we look inside the neutron, for example, he has up quarks, down quarks, and the rest of it. In fact, we are one of those up quarks. And we only see that part of the universe of neutron. Then this exists in an atom. And then this atom has got so many neutrons and protons and electrons. And then itself is nothing, even that cell, because there's another billions of cells to make that brain. Then if you take life away from that up quark, down quark, whatever the scientists call it, then what happens to the rest of the operation of that cell, that neutron, that electron which is connected to it, and the rest of it? So, by the scale of work, we are irrelevant. But at the same time, by the scale of work, we are everything, because if that up quark, down quark, whatever we see, which is the solar system, which within it is us, does misfunction, the rest have to react. The cell, the atom changes, and then the cell dies, and the whole body, the whole brain has to react to it. This is how it works in the rest of the universe. We are that speck of dust in that quark. And we still fight for it. We still time for it. We still exist to confirm our existence. And it's in the same process. An electron in an atom still moves, rotates, has a dynamic life, but is insignificant compared to the atom, and then that atom in a cell, and then that cell in a what you call a unit part of the brain of the man, and then in the brain of the man. And this is how we should understand it. So the time that electron has to be in that position, that up quark has to be in that position, is the time of his existence. This is the time which interacts with the rest of it. And when that time is not there, the physical dimension of that up quark which we observe has come to an end. And a new cycle in the remaining part of it starts in a new position, and in a new what we call place in the brain of the man. So when we look at the structure of us as an entity on this planet, we are just that. The whole planet is that aqua, and we are in it. So the time which we talk about the position, and the place on the physical side, and then what you call the emotion and the intellect and the what we call the third factor, which is part of us to make the second time enlightenment. And you need the two times to interact to be able to give life to both sides. But the interesting part with the whole thing is that, as we said, magnetical and gravitational create the mass. The interaction of this mass with gravitational and magnetic field of the earth creates a weight. Now we have two times, both energy dependent and not matter, because now they are functionality of their own. What happens when they interact? One becomes gravitational and one becomes magnetical. And in the time, the interaction will become zero, which means we go back to the point of the inception. We go back to the origin. We become part of the creation. This is how we rain out and we rain back in the dimension of the totality work of the universe. Because when we become the interaction of two times, we become now to interact with another, feel the strength of the time of the creation. Then it manifests itself as time, place, position, and the energy and the manifestation of the emotion. I'm made man in the image of myself. I have no image because I'm timeless, and my image is according to the manifestation of my time, position, and position. In fact, if you look at it, the energy side, in interaction on its own, the time of it becomes the soul of it. The time on the matter side becomes the soul of physicality of it. The interaction of the two leads to the creation of the creator. The way the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man in interaction with the environment of the earth leads to manifestation of physicality of the man. This leads to creation of the universe of the creator. This is how we are part of it, and it's part of us. In time, we become part of, and in time, we become it, the creator of the time itself. In fact, the interaction of us in two dimensions leads to creation, manifestation of us. So is the time interaction leads to creation, manifestation of the creator. This is how we are made in the image of, because we are the creator. We are not the image, but in reality we are part of the totality of the creation of that image. In the knowledge, when a man reaches that point, then will understand different strength field of the time will dictate the position of the man in the unicos. Because then we are within the environment of the unicos and not the universe. In a way, we move from the mass to become the weight, and that weight has its own time, position, and position. But the question for the man is there an end to it, or is this the beginning? In a way, if one understands the process, this process leads to what we've been teaching for past 10 years. Dimension of physicality, the ganses, then the fields, then the soul, then the time. One is creator of the other, and one cannot exist without the other. Then, once you understand how the soul of the man, which has the emotion and intellect, and it's in a way reaches the point of its evolution, then become the basis for the foundation of the creation. If man understands the process of the intellect, if man understands the process of enlightenment, then the man understands how to connect the two times together, to move from physicality to the dimension of energy, and then in time of the energy be able to transmute to the time of the physicality. This is why we don't need to move the physicality of the man. If we can create the time of the man in a place, position, and a position. This is why the physicality, the dimension of the breathing, the dimension of thought, the dimension of emotion has to work together. That creates that time that one can transmute from one to another. When you change the rhythm of the breathing, when you change the position of the physicality in the taking, balancing energy with this environment, and at the same time you create the emotion, then you can create the time to travel between the two. And this is what the knowledge seekers have not understood. This is why in the test of past few months and past few weeks, we ask the pilots to tell their intention, because they have to set the time. They have to set the parameters that the time can follow within to create the emotion. I expect to see Paris, so I create that emotion of expectation of, and then I change my breathing in the change of dimension of physicality. I bring the balance of the time between the two. I travel in time. No, I do not travel in dimension of the physicality. And as the time is connected to each other, the soul and the physicality never separate. The fear of man of his demise does not exist if the man understands how to bring the emotion in connection with the physical dimension of the what we call possession. You cannot change your place. You cannot change your position. But by breathing, by physical changes in the dimension, you can change the strength of the fields, to change the time, to bring it in balance with the emotion time, which is in connection with the intelligence and with what we call enlightenment. This is the way to transmute. This is why we start teaching about the time. You learn about the soul. You try the transmutation. Why doesn't it work? Because you have to bring the emotion to control the time of the energy, and you have to bring the breathing in time to connect to the time of the energy and the physicality together, that it allows you to transmute between the two. Now you understand why most of you or some of you get there. We have a lady who wants to see Christ, and it's the first time she moved into the system in Linz, she saw the Christ. This is what she wanted, because the emotion and the breathing created condition was together. So you reach, you travel the time, you see the reality, you meet with your Christ. This is how I said, give me time, I'll bring the Christ to you to see, because you create that time for it. because the emotion, the desire, and the physicality to be in position can be brought together in same time. It is not that just you can travel in time forward, you can travel back time in energy level that you see to dimension of manifestation, but you hardly can, on the specific condition, create the place, position, and the position. But you can see the energy interaction of, which manifests itself like a dream in reality of meeting. The time is the connector. And when man matures to understand how to bring the two together, then man reaches another step that he can create that condition of the mass, which with the interaction of the creation of the creator, creates the manifestation of the physicality, like the soul and the soul of physicality, where the time of the soul of the man, what we call the time of the energy and physicality, meets up with the soul of the creator in the dimension of time. This is how you meet your creator, because then the time created by dimension of the energy and the mass becomes the mass, and then that in interaction of the soul of the physicality of the creator, in reality the soul of the creator leads to manifestation of the creation, what we call the universe. So we are part of it. Our soul is in interaction, creates part of the physical manifestation of the creation. Now you understand why I made man in the image of myself, because I have to interact with the time of the man to be able to create, to show manifestation of the man, that it becomes my image in the dimension of the unicos. Then a lot becomes clearer how, as knowledge seekers, you have to transmute. We provide the dimension of the interaction of the two times. That's the functionality of the system. This is why we connect with your headphones. And then you change the emotion. This is why when we tell people go to such a place, they go, because we create a dimension of the time for that position and the place and the position. Next time you're in the systems, monitor your breathing and see how your breathing changes. This is how your body, your physicality changes its dimension of the time to meet with the time of this energy side. This is why those of you cannot fly, cannot see, because you cannot match the two. In coming time, I'll explain how easy this can be done. Then the transmutation become part of the process. If you go back to the teaching of years and years ago, I call, or the universe calls the man, the four-wheelers. Instead of learning to use the spherical dimension of the time between the two, man has chosen the wheel of the man to cart it. This is where the man has separated himself from the rest of the structure of the work of the universe. This is how we create those materials on the table which you see. Created of the time. But the intention put in, the condition created, is to produce certain materials. You see the matter, but you don't understand the principle of the work. Because within the structure, we have hidden the process of the conversion, interaction, balance between the energy and the matter. Once you understand the connection of the time between the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man, then you can transmute. They only interact when they match. And then you understand how you can take the physicality from one place to another in time. Try to understand the process of the creation, not the process which we are forced to understand with the false assumption of the man. Try to understand you are the key in conversion of the energy in both sides, the physical side and the energy side. Because even the physical side is a dynamic magnetic field in a given strength. We eat to absorb energy, to elevate our soul, to elevate the soul of physicality, to replenish it continuously. In a way, our breathing is a bigger source of elevation of the man than actually the eating. This is why I said, if you remember about the guru who came and said, I haven't eaten for 21 days, because you take energy from the universe by the conversion within the lung of the man. And once you learn that, you don't need the physicality of the food. And once you go further, step on, learning to tap into universal energy to absorb energy from, then you don't even need to breathe. Then we understand why the passengers of the universe, many of them don't have the long and digestion system as a man has, as they have learned how to take the full 100% from the universal energy, then converting and the killing which man does to convert his own life in a way to carry on with the confirmation of his existence and his time. I made man in the image of myself, because man is the other part. We call this time Mitra, because it's a dimension of the soul of physicality. And in that time, by creation of it, with the interaction of the soul of the creator, we create the manifestation of love, which is the universe. Once you understand this, you understand how, by a slight movement of the lungs, by a slight movement of the breathing, you can create that time. This is why I showed you last week the position of the planetary system. Look at them, look at the angles, go back on the pictures which I released last week, and then look how the two sit next to each other are the signs of life in each. What do you need to do to convert, to become from a mass in the back, gradually become the cycle of life into? There is a process, and we have to understand the process, and not but assuming and falsifying the whole knowledge. If one looks at the position of the solar system, one look at the position of the sun is not sitting vertical in respect to its position, because it's in an angle specifically created for it to exist where it is. It has its own soul, and it has its own soul of physicality, and manifests itself in the dimension of the solar system. Earth is one of those quarks. And those quarks, because the energy pack to manifest themselves, become creator of life, man, and our soul is quark of the quark of the quarks of the quarks. But you change one, the rest have to adjust. If the knowledge seekers understand this, you have the key to transmutation. And if knowledge seekers understand how to control the other, you have found the manifestation of the transportation. And if you understood how to work with the two, you do not need no system, because now you're locked into universal system. to the system the way the Creator manifests himself. We don't interact with the fields of being interact with collective interaction of the fields of. It's not the singularity, it's the polarity. And you need four to manifest itself the way the interaction of the gravitational magnetic field of the sun and the earth leads to the creation of the light. The interaction of the time of the fields of the man's souls and physicality, and the given the strength with the creator's fields, the magnetic fields, lead to the creation, manifestation of the light of the universe, the creation and identification of it in its own environment. And then, if you understood this, take it a step further. Why people who die, they see light, bright light, and they find peace? Because then the time of the physicality of the man matches out with the time of the soul. And the interaction creates that light. Why is peaceful? Because everything is in balance. You can track back in how the two shall meet. You can determine the time, the place, the position, that you can move from the physicality into the dimension of energy, transmute and come back. This is why even you understand further in the knowledge, you can understand the time of your separation from the dimension of physicality, that you become only the soul. Then you need to find a matching place in what we call position, and a position in the feeling of attraction of the environment to manifest yourself again as another star, another dust, another speck in the universe and creation of the universe. Maybe now you understand why, as knowledge seekers, you have not managed to transmute. You have to learn the two times to match. Creating emotion at a given field and creating dimension of the energy in the solar physicality of the man with the position and the breathing to, in a way, place to create that position of the transmutation. You don't need no systems, but we have to make the system to bring that balance. I hope I brought you closer to understand the process, to meet with your Creator, and in interaction with it to create a new dimension of life.